The night was quiet and the human sat in his small workshop. He was tired, his tools scattered on the table. The day had been long and he only wanted to rest, but then a sound broke the silence, a soft knock on the door. Weak and nervous at first, he thought it was the wind, but the knock came again. Louder this time, steady, desperate. He stood up slowly, his boots heavy on the floor. When he opened the door, he froze. Standing there was an alien girl. Her skin glowed faintly, marked with strange patterns that shimmered in the dark. Her large eyes looked frightened, and her hands shook as she held a broken piece of pipe. Water dripped from it, spilling onto the ground. "Please," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I need help. The pipes in my home are broken. I cannot fix them alone." The human looked at her carefully. She seemed young, maybe no older than him, but her expression carried both fear and urgency. Her clothes were wet, sticking to her frame. Her breath was uneven, as if she had run a long way. Normally, he would have refused. It was late and he was tired, but something in her eyes kept him from closing the door. There was a kind of loneliness there, and a hidden desperation. He nodded, grabbed his toolbox, and said softly, "All right, I'll help you." She seemed relieved. Though her nervousness did not fade, she turned quickly, motioning for him to follow. The night air was cool, and he walked behind her down the narrow road. The alien settlement was silent, most houses dark, yet the path to her home felt heavy, as if the shadows themselves were watching. Her house stood at the edge of the colony, older than the others. Its walls were covered in strange symbols, glowing faintly under the moonlight. The human frowned. He had seen alien homes before, but never like this. Something about it felt alive. She pushed the door open and let him step inside. The air was thick, warmer than outside, almost too warm. His skin prickled as he entered. The girl closed the door quickly. Almost too quickly. "Where are the pipes?" he asked, trying to sound calm. She pointed deeper inside. Her eyes lingered on him a second too long before she turned away. He followed, his boots echoing softly on the strange floor. The walls glowed with dim light, and the symbols seemed to shift when he looked directly at them. At last she showed him the broken pipes. Water was leaking slowly, forming puddles on the floor. He knelt, opening his toolbox. His hands worked fast, trained from years of repair. But even as he fixed the pipes, he felt the girl's eyes on him, watching closely, too closely. She paced slowly, her steps light but restless, her breathing uneven. The human could feel tension rising in the room, but he didn't understand why. "Is anyone else here with you?" he asked casually. She shook her head quickly. "No. I live alone." Her voice cracked at the last word. He glanced up, noticing how her glowing patterns brightened, faint at first, but slowly stronger, like fire spreading under her skin. He thought it was fear, maybe stress, but there was something else in her eyes, something he could not explain. The pipe hissed as he tightened it. Water stopped dripping. He should have felt relief, but instead a chill ran through him. The girl moved closer, standing almost too near. He could feel the heat from her body. "Far warmer than before, thank you," she whispered, her voice low, almost trembling. "You came, even when no one else would." The human forced a small smile. "It's my job, don't worry, it's fixed now." But her eyes did not leave him. The glow spread further across her skin, reaching her face. She looked almost radiant, almost dangerous. He packed his tools, ready to leave, but when he turned toward the door, she blocked his path. Her eyes wide, her hands shaking, yet she did not move aside. "Please, don't go yet," she said, her voice softer but heavier than before. "There is more, much more than just the pipes." The human frowned, confusion rising inside him. Something about her words felt wrong. Something about the heat in the air, the glowing walls, and her trembling voice told him he had stepped into something far bigger than a broken pipe. For a moment, silence hung heavy between them. He looked into her glowing eyes, and a sharp thought struck him. This was not only about water, not about pipes, not about repairs. The girl's body trembled again. Her glowing marks flared brighter. Her breathing quickened, and the human realized he had walked into something he could not yet understand. Something dangerous. Something alive. The night that began with a simple knock on the door had now opened the first step into her hidden world. A world of secrets, of need, and of fear. And deep inside, he felt that leaving this house would not be as simple as entering it. The human stood still for a moment. His toolbox heavy in his hand, the alien girl blocked the door, her glowing patterns brighter than before. Her eyes carried something he could not read, fear, hunger, or maybe both. The air inside the house felt strange, warmer than outside, as if the walls themselves breathed. She lowered her gaze quickly, as if realizing she had scared him. "Forgive me," she whispered, stepping aside. "It's just, I don't like being alone." He nodded slowly, brushing off the tension. "It's late, you should rest now." "The pipes are fixed," he said, hoping to end the strange encounter. But instead of answering, she walked deeper into the house, her bare feet silent on the glowing floor. She turned once and looked at him with a pleading expression. "Will you at least check the other rooms? I think more pipes may be broken." Something inside him warned not to follow, but curiosity pushed him forward. He sighed, set his toolbox down again, and followed her the deeper they went. The stranger the house became. The walls weren't flat, but curved like ribs of some giant beast. Faint symbols ran across them. Glowing faintly blue and silver, he swore he saw them move. But when he blinked, they were still. The girl led him to a hallway, the air thick with humidity. Water dripped from the ceiling, leaving trails on the strange glowing floor. She pointed toward another set of pipes. Cracked and leaking, he crouched, opening his tools again, but his attention was half on her. She paced slowly behind him, her fingers brushing the walls. Her breathing was uneven, sometimes sharp, sometimes soft. Her glowing patterns pulsed like they followed a hidden rhythm. The human tried to focus on the work, tightening bolts, sealing cracks. "Strange design," he muttered. "Your people build homes like this often?" She froze, her hand stopping on the wall. Her head turned slightly, but she didn't meet his eyes. "No," she said quietly. "This house is different. It belonged to my family, but now it's only me." Her voice carried sadness, but also something heavier, a secret wrapped inside her words. The human looked back at her, but her eyes avoided his. Instead, she stepped closer, the glow under her skin lighting her face. She crouched beside him, watching his hands move. "You're good at this," she said softly. "Not many would come here. Not at night, not alone." He gave a small shrug. "Pipes are pipes, doesn't matter whose house it is." Her lips curved into the faintest smile. But it didn't last. Her patterns glowed stronger, brighter, filling the room with soft light. He realized then, it wasn't only sadness making her tremble. Something else stirred inside her, something she was trying to hide. The pipe hissed as he sealed the last leak. Water flow steady again. He leaned back, wiping his hands on his shirt. But the silence in the room was louder than before. She was staring at him again, her large eyes unblinking. The glow under her skin danced like fire. She leaned closer, and for a second he thought she might touch his face. He cleared his throat and stood quickly. Breaking the moment, "All fixed," he said firmly. That should stop the leaks, but instead of relief, her expression shifted to something else, almost panic. "You can't leave yet," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Not now. Not when it's starting." The human frowned. "Starting? What do you mean?" She bit her lip, her hands curling against her chest. For a moment she said nothing, as if fighting with herself. Then she turned and walked quickly toward another door. Her voice was faint but carried across the room. "If you really want to understand, follow me." Against his better judgment, he followed. His boots echoed as the hallway narrowed, leading into a chamber deeper inside the house. The moment he stepped through the doorway, the heat hit him harder. The air was thick, almost alive. The walls glowed brighter, symbols twisting in shapes he couldn't read. At the center of the room was a pool of water. Glowing faint blue, steam rose gently from its surface. The alien girl stood beside it, her skin shimmering with brighter light. She looked fragile and strong at the same time. Her hands trembled, yet her eyes locked onto his with strange determination. "This house," she whispered, her voice echoing in the warm air. "It changes when the season comes. It prepares for what my kind must endure." The human's stomach tightened. He had heard whispers before, rumors about alien customs, about strange cycles, but he never believed he would see one up close. The girl's patterns flared like burning veins. Her breath came fast, her voice cracked with desperation. "I called you for the pipes. But the truth is, I needed someone inside before it began, someone to help, or else." Her voice broke. She didn't finish the sentence. Instead, her glowing hands clenched and she whispered with fear, "Or else I won't survive the night." The human's heart pounded. The job had started with broken pipes, but now he realized he was trapped inside a house full of secrets, with an alien girl whose body and mind were bound to something she could no longer control. and whatever season she spoke of. It was already starting. The human stood frozen at the edge of the glowing chamber. The alien girl's words echoed in his ears. If no one is here when it begins, I won't survive the night, he tried to understand. But the air was so thick it felt hard to breathe. The walls pulsed with light, the strange symbols moving like veins alive with heat. She stood near the glowing pool, her trembling hands clutching her arms. Her glowing skin grew brighter with every breath. Her voice broke the silence again, soft but urgent. It's too late to leave now. It has already started. The human took a slow step back, his hand tightening around the handle of his toolbox. What's starting? He asked, his voice sharp. But his heart raced faster before she could answer. A loud crack shook the chamber. The sound came from the pipes along the walls. The old metal shuddered, steam hissing violently. Then, without warning, one of them burst open, spraying hot water across the floor. The girl gasped, covering her mouth. The human reacted instantly. Pulling his tools free, he ran to the pipe, trying to tighten the bolts. But another crack sounded behind him. Another pipe split, water rushing out like an angry river. He cursed under his breath. Your whole system is collapsing. The girl staggered back, her eyes wide with fear. But the human noticed it wasn't just fear. Her body was trembling harder now. Her glowing patterns spread like fire racing across her skin. Her breaths came shallow, heavy, almost like she was fighting something inside her. The human worked quickly, sealing one leak, then another. But the water was too strong, bursting from cracks faster than he could stop them. The floor was soaked, puddles rising around his boots. The heat in the air grew unbearable. Mixing with the steam, suddenly the girl cried out. Her voice echoed through the chamber, filled with both pain and need. She dropped to her knees near the glowing pool, clutching her chest. The light under her skin flared so brightly it filled the room like a storm. The human turned, his breath catching for a moment. He thought she was burning alive. Her body shook violently, her glowing veins pulsing with strange rhythm. The water around the pool began to bubble as if responding to her. What's happening to you? He shouted, running to her side. She lifted her face, her eyes glowing faint blue. Her lips trembled as she whispered, It's my season. My body, it won't stop the house. The pipes. Everything is tied to me if the system fails. I fail too. The human froze, her words crashing into him like a heavy blow. The pipes bursting weren't just a problem of age or damage. They were connected to her. Her survival depended on keeping the system stable. The chamber shook again, another pipe snapping with a scream of steam. The human jumped up, working faster than ever. His fingers slipped on the wet metal, the steam burning his arms, but he didn't stop. He couldn't. Not if her life was tied to this. She cried out again, clutching her arms. Her glowing skin flickered like a dying flame. The pool's light darkened for a moment, then flared violently, splashing water onto the floor. The human pushed harder, twisting the bolts with all his strength. He sealed another crack, but the system groaned like a wounded beast. It wasn't enough, her voice reached him again. Weak and trembling, Please. Don't leave me. If you stop, I die. He looked at her, her glowing body shaking with unbearable force, her eyes filled with both fear and desperation. For the first time, he realized she wasn't trying to trap him. She was fighting against her own nature, trapped by something far beyond her control. Gritting his teeth, he slammed his wrench into another pipe, forcing it shut. The steam hissed angrily, but the water slowed. The air was thick, hot and suffocating. His body ached, his skin burned, but he pushed on. Behind him, the alien girl's cries grew softer, her glow steadying for a brief moment as he sealed another leak. He understood now, if he could stabilize the pipes. He could stabilize her, but the house wasn't finished testing him. A violent shudder ran through the walls. 2 pipes split at once, water pouring down like a flood. The human stumbled, nearly slipping. His toolbox spilled, tools clattering into the rising water. For a moment, despair clawed at him. But then he looked back at her, kneeling by the pool, clutching herself, her glowing eyes begging him not to give up. And something inside him hardened. No, he whispered to himself. I won't let her die like this. He grabbed a piece of cloth, wrapped it around his hand, and forced himself into the boiling steam. His vision blurred, his lungs burned. But he jammed the wrench into place, twisted until his muscles screamed. The pipe shrieked like metal tearing, then sealed shut. The water slowed, the hiss quieted. The glow around the girl steadied again. Her trembling eased, though she was still weak. Her lips parted as she whispered, You saved me, you're keeping me alive." The human collapsed against the wall, his chest heaving, his shirt soaked, his arms burned, but his eyes stayed locked on her. Glowing faintly in the steam-filled chamber, he had come to fix pipes, but now he realized the truth. Her life and the house were one, and every burst pipe was a warning, a signal of the storm raging inside her body. The night was no longer just about repairs. It was about survival for both of them, and deep down, the human knew this was only the beginning. The house would not stop. The season had only just started. The chamber was quiet at last, the pipes sealed, the water slowed. Steam still hung thick in the air, making it hard to breathe. The human leaned against the wall, his arms burning from the heat, sweat dripping down his face. He felt like he had fought a battle with the house itself. But the alien girl was alive. She sat by the glowing pool, her trembling body slowly calming. Her patterns no longer flared wildly but pulsed like a heartbeat. Softer, steadier, she lifted her eyes toward him, glowing faint blue, and whispered, "You shouldn't be here, but you stayed." The human wiped his face with his sleeve, his voice rough. "Tell me what's going on. What is this house? Why are the pipes tied to you?" She lowered her gaze, silent for a long moment. Her hands pressed against her chest as if holding herself together. Finally, she spoke, her voice shaking with both fear and shame. "This house isn't just my home, it is. Alive, built for my kind, it feels my body, my blood, my season. When it begins, the house tests me. If I can't endure, it breaks me down. Piece by piece." The human's heart pounded. He stepped closer, his boots splashing in the shallow water. "Season? You mean?" She cut him off, her voice trembling. "My species. We do not choose when. The season forces itself on us. It comes once in many cycles. Our bodies demand connection or we lose control. Without someone, we don't survive." Her words hung heavy in the hot air. The human felt his stomach tighten. Suddenly, all her strange behavior made sense. The trembling, the glow, the desperate call for help. It wasn't only broken pipes, it was her body, her instincts, dragging her into something she feared. She hugged her knees tightly, her voice breaking. "I tried to fight it. I thought I could manage alone. But when the first signs came, I panicked. The pipes burst because I was breaking inside. That's why I came to you. Not just for the repairs, but because I needed someone here, or I would have died." The human froze. Staring at her, his mind raced, torn between sympathy and alarm. He had only wanted to help fix pipes, but now he was standing inside a trap. No, not a trap, but a prison of biology. Her eyes filled with tears that shimmered under the glow of her skin. "I didn't want to trick you, I swear, but once you stepped inside, I couldn't let you leave. If you walked out that door, this house would collapse. And so would I." He felt the weight of her words press down on him. He could leave and abandon her to fate, or he could stay and face whatever storm her season would bring. Neither choice felt safe. The human crouched, his voice steady though his chest was heavy. "Why me? Why call me?" She looked at him, her glowing eyes wide and wet. "Because you're human. Humans are different. You don't run the way others do. You help even when you shouldn't. I thought, maybe, just maybe you'd stay." Her honesty struck him harder than the heat. He remembered her standing at his door, trembling, clutching the broken pipe. Her desperation wasn't just for water, it was for survival. He swallowed hard, his voice low. "So this house, this season, it won't stop until—" She nodded slowly, cutting him off again. "Until I bond. Until someone accepts me. Or until I break." The human stood in silence, the steam swirling around him. The truth lay bare now, and it was heavier than he expected. He hadn't walked into just a repair job. He had walked into her life, into her fight against nature itself. The chamber rumbled faintly, a low growl from the walls, a reminder that time was running out. The pipes would burst again. The system would fight harder. Her body would demand more. And if he turned away now, she wouldn't last. She reached out suddenly, her glowing fingers brushing his arm. Her touch was hot, trembling, but not forceful. Her voice cracked. "I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to trap you, but if you stay, you might be the only thing that saves me." The human stared at her glowing face. Her tears mixed with the shimmer of light under her skin. Her fear was real, her desperation raw. For the first time, he saw not a stranger, not an alien, but someone standing on the edge of death, begging for a chance to live. He took a slow breath, his mind torn. Every part of him screamed to walk away, to escape this strange house of glowing walls and living pipes. But another voice inside whispered that if he left, she would die alone, unloved, forgotten. The chamber shook again, steam hissing violently from the walls. Her body trembled, her glow brightening uncontrollably. She gasped, "It's starting again, please. Don't leave me this time." The human clenched his fists. His choice had to be made, not tomorrow, not later, but now. Would he step forward and face her truth, or turn away and let her fall into the darkness of her season? The answer, he knew, would decide both their lives. The human stood frozen, the steam swirling around him like mist on a battlefield. The alien girl's words still echoed in his ears. "If you stay, you might be the only thing that saves me." His hands trembled slightly, not from fear alone, but from the crushing weight of choice. He had fixed broken machines before, but never had someone's life, someone's very soul, been placed into his hands. The girl knelt beside the glowing pool, her trembling body glowing brighter. Her skin patterns pulsed like living fire. Her voice was low, almost pleading. "It's getting stronger. I can't stop it, I can't fight it." The human took a step forward, his boots splashing in the shallow water that still covered the floor. He wanted to speak, to say something calming, but his throat felt dry. Her eyes locked onto his. Glowing with a mixture of fear and longing, the air grew heavier, warmer, and every second stretched longer than the last. She reached out again, her fingers brushing his hand this time. The touch was hot, almost burning, but trembling, not forceful. "Do you feel it?" she whispered. "The season. It pulls everything inside me. It tells me I need to bond or I won't live, and now it sees you." The human swallowed hard. He wanted to pull back, but something in her eyes kept him still. Her honesty, her desperation, it cut through his fear. She wasn't luring him with tricks. She was clinging to him like the last branch before the fall. The walls rumbled faintly, pipes groaning again. The house itself seemed to respond to her rising need. The human knew if he refused her, the system would collapse again, dragging her with it. But if he gave in, what would that mean for him? He steadied his voice, though it shook inside. "There has to be another way, something besides this." "Bond you're talking about." Her lips trembled into a faint, broken smile. "If there was, don't you think I'd have taken it? Do you think I wanted this? To beg a stranger in the middle of the night? No." Her eyes watered, glowing tears rolling down her cheeks. "But I don't have a choice. My body doesn't listen to me anymore. It only knows the season has come. And if you leave me now, I'll fade." The human's chest tightened. He turned slightly as if to look at the door, but deep down, he already knew it was useless. The house wouldn't let him leave now, not without breaking her completely. She stood slowly, her bare feet silent on the glowing floor. She moved closer, her trembling body glowing brighter with each step. The heat from her skin brushed against him. Her voice softened, filled with raw emotion. "I don't want to trap you. I don't want to hurt you, but I need you. More than air, more than water, please. Stay." Her nearness made his pulse race. He had seen danger in many forms, broken machines, violent storms, hostile aliens, but nothing like this. This wasn't a blade or a gun aimed at him. This was a girl, trembling, glowing, begging not for victory but for survival. He stepped back, his mind fighting itself. If he gave in, was he saving her or damning himself? If he refused, was he protecting his freedom or letting her die? The pipes hissed again, a thin crack opening along the wall. Steam shot out violently, as if warning him, as if reminding him that time was slipping away. The girl gasped and grabbed his arm with both hands. Her grip was weak but desperate. "See? The house won't wait. It's tied to me, and now it's tied to you if you don't help me. It will crush us both." Her touch sent a shiver through him, not from pain but from the weight of her need. He looked down at her hands, glowing faintly against his rough skin, and for the first time, he realized she wasn't just begging for herself. She was fighting to keep him from being destroyed too. Silence stretched between them for a long moment, broken only by the hiss of steam and the faint hum of glowing walls. Then she whispered, almost too soft to hear, "I don't want to be alone anymore, not tonight." "Not ever again." The human's heart pounded. His mind screamed to resist, but his chest ached at the sight of her tears. He had come here as a repairman, a stranger, but now he stood on the edge of something deeper, more dangerous. Her glowing patterns flared again, filling the chamber with soft light. She leaned closer, her face inches from his, her breath hot against his skin. Her trembling voice broke into a plea. Will you be the one? Or will you let me die? The human closed his eyes for a moment, the weight of the decision pressing harder than ever. Around him the house groaned, alive, impatient. The pipes hissed. The walls glowed brighter. Everything was waiting for him. When he opened his eyes, she was still there. Her glowing gaze locked onto his, her hands shaking as they held his arm. The temptation was no longer something he could ignore. It was alive, burning, desperate, and now it demanded his answer. The chamber seemed to hold its breath. The hiss of steam echoed faintly through the walls, glowing brighter and darker in slow pulses as if the entire house waited for one answer. The human stood in the middle of it, his fists tight, his chest heavy. The alien girl still clutched his arm. Her glowing fingers trembled, her body weak but burning with heat. Her eyes glowed like twin stars in the mist. Please, she whispered again, her voice breaking. Don't leave me, not now. Not when it matters most. His throat was dry. His mind screamed at him to run, but his feet would not move. He looked at her and saw not a trap, not a trick, but a soul on the edge of breaking. He had seen machines fail, seen storms tear apart steel, but he had never seen someone so fragile and strong at the same time. I came here to fix pipes, he said slowly. Not this, I didn't ask for this. Her eyes filled with tears that glowed as they slid down her cheeks. Do you think I asked for this? Do you think I wanted to beg a stranger in the night? Her voice cracked, trembling with both shame and fear. If I could stop it, I would, but I can't. My season doesn't wait. My body doesn't listen. Without you, I'll die. The human looked at the glowing pool, the cracked pipes, the breathing walls. He realized everything was tied to her. Her survival and the house's survival were one. If he walked away now, she wouldn't last. The system would collapse and she would vanish with it. Still, doubt clawed at him. He stepped back slightly, trying to free his arm. If I stay, what happens to me? She didn't answer at first. Her lips parted, but no words came. Her glowing patterns flared again. Brighter, desperate, at last she whispered, You'll be changed. Once chosen, you don't walk away unchanged. That's the law of my kind. The human's heart pounded harder. His life, his freedom, everything could end here. But when he looked at her shaking form, her eyes full of pain and fear, he felt a strange pull inside, stronger than logic, stronger than fear. The walls groaned suddenly. Louder this time, a pipe split violently, steam blasting across the chamber. The girl cried out and fell to her knees. Clutching her chest, her glow flared wildly. Unstable, her voice choked. It's starting again, I can't hold it. Without thinking, the human dropped beside her, his hands gripping her shoulders. Look at me. He shouted, his voice sharp with urgency. Breathe. Stay with me. Her glowing eyes snapped to his, wide and trembling. Her breath came in shallow gasps. Her body shook violently. The pool's water boiled, spilling over the edges. The chamber trembled like it would collapse. The human's voice dropped lower. Steadier, I won't let you break, do you hear me? I won't let this house eat you alive if I have to stay. Then I'll stay. Her body stilled for a moment, her glow flickering like a candle in the storm. Her lips parted in disbelief. You'll stay? He nodded once, firm. His heart raced, but his voice carried steel. I don't know what this season means. I don't know what it will do to me, but I'm not walking out that door while you're begging me to live. Her tears spilled freely, glowing trails running down her cheeks. Her trembling hands reached up, resting against his chest. No one has ever said that to me before. No one ever stayed. The house reacted instantly. The pipes groaned but didn't burst. The walls pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. The glow across her skin steadied, not wild but warm like the storm had paused. Waiting, she leaned closer, her forehead almost against his. Her voice was weak, trembling, but filled with something new, hope. Then, you're mine now, my bond, my anchor. The human's breath caught. He hadn't planned for this, but the choice had been made. He could see it in her eyes, hear it in the living hum of the walls. There was no turning back for a long moment. Silence stretched between them, broken only by the faint hiss of water. His hand still held her shoulders, her glowing touch still pressed against his chest. Finally, he whispered, his voice heavy but steady, Then let's finish this together. The alien girl closed her glowing eyes, a soft sob escaping her lips. The house pulsed once, strong, steady, almost like approval, and deep inside, the human realized that he had crossed a line no one could return from. His choice had bound him not just to her, but to the storm of her season, the pipes, the pool. The walls, they were quiet for now. But the night was not over. The hardest part had yet to come. The chamber pulsed with silence, broken only by the soft hum of living walls. The human still held the alien girl's trembling shoulders. His choice had been made, and the house seemed to know. The pipes stopped hissing. The glow in the wall slowed. Everything waited, watching. The alien girl's eyes glowed faint blue. Shimmering with tears, her lips parted, her voice soft and fragile. "You stayed. You really stayed," the human nodded once, his jaw tight. "I said I wouldn't leave. And I meant it for a moment." Her trembling eased. The glow in her skin softened, no longer wild and unstable, but warm and steady. Yet the storm wasn't gone, only waiting. Her body leaned against him, weak from the fight. Her voice shook. "It isn't over. The season doesn't end in one night, but with you, maybe I can survive it." The human looked around. The glowing pool shimmered gently now, no longer boiling. The walls no longer groaned. The house had calmed with her, but he knew it wouldn't last forever. He helped her stand, her legs weak, her glowing fingers still clutching his arm. She led him slowly toward the center of the chamber. To the pool itself, her voice trembled. "This is where the bond is sealed. If you mean what you said, if you truly won't leave me, then the house will accept us both." The human's stomach tightened. He hadn't imagined his night would end like this. He had thought he would fix a broken pipe, return home, sleep in peace, yet here he was, standing on the edge of something no human had ever faced. He looked at her glowing eyes, her trembling hands, her desperate hope, and he realized he wasn't just saving her, she was saving him too, saving him from the empty life he had carried for so long. "Tell me what to do," he said firmly. Her lips curved into the faintest smile, weak but real. "Just don't let go." Together, they stepped into the glow of the pool. The water rippled around their feet, warm, alive. It rose slowly, wrapping around them like light itself. The chamber pulsed brighter, the symbols on the walls shifting into new shapes, binding them. The girl gasped, her body trembling again, but this time, instead of collapsing, she leaned against him. Her glow spread through the water, reaching out, touching him for a moment. He felt a strange heat enter his skin, running through his veins. His heart raced, his chest tightened, but her trembling slowed, her breathing steadied. Her glow balanced. Her season, once wild and dangerous, began to calm. The house itself seemed to sigh in relief. The pipes no longer screamed. The walls pulsed in rhythm with both their heartbeats. The bond was sealed. The girl opened her eyes again, tears shimmering. She whispered, "You saved me. No one ever saved me before." The human didn't answer at first. His chest heaved with exhaustion, but his arms still held her steady. "Finally," he said quietly, "you don't have to face it alone anymore." For a long moment, they stood in silence, the chamber glowing softly around them. The storm had passed, and peace filled the room, but deep inside, the human knew his life had changed forever. The bond wasn't something temporary. It wasn't something he could walk away from tomorrow. The girl was tied to him now, and he was tied to her. As they stepped out of the pool, the glow faded into gentle light. The house settled into stillness. Calm for the first time, the girl leaned against him, her strength slowly returning. Her eyes locked onto his, glowing faint but filled with warmth. "You are mine now," she whispered. "And I am yours." The human took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her words. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring. He didn't know how his people would see this. But at that moment, none of it mattered. He had chosen. He had stayed outside. The night was quiet. The stars above seemed brighter. The storm inside the house had ended, but the journey ahead had only begun. For the alien girl, the season had not taken her life. It had given her something she never expected, someone who chose her, not out of duty, not out of fear, but out of resolve. And for the human, a simple call for help had led to a choice that would change everything. He had walked into her mating season, into her storm, and instead of running, he became her anchor. And in the quiet glow of the night, the galaxy itself felt different, as if it too had witnessed something rare. A human and an alien, bound not by force but by choice. And that choice would echo far beyond the walls of her strange house forever.